bit about today is I just want to talk about a little bit about start off talking about feelings. And I want to know if you feel frustrated because you're not getting the results that you want in business. I'd like to know if you're feeling like everybody is out to get you, from the ATO to Consumer Affairs to Fair Work Ombudsman to the workers to the customers. You know, do you feel like everybody's got their hand out or just against you? You know, and if you feel like that, if you're a business owner, you know, I can help. I've been in that situation, and I can help you turn your frustration back into enthusiasm. Help reignite the fire you had when you first started the business. Help turn cash flow negative back to cash positive. Turn back living to work back to working to live. And we do that with a special 5-step program that we have. I've had multiple businesses on 3 different continents with dozens of locations. And I've helped people for 30 years, independent business people, get to where they want to be and get themselves out of where they are already and they don't want to be. Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about that program. It's a 5-step process. But before I talk about that, I just remembered I'm also a basketball coach, and I should promote that a little bit. And I tell you, I am an awesome basketball coach. I mean, beyond great. I could take anybody in this room, besides Darren, okay, and have them shooting free throws better than LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird on their very best day. Provided I blindfold Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Larry Bird, spin them around a bunch of times so they have no idea where they are on the court and where the basket is. And you say, Matt, that's ridiculous. Of course, they can't sink a basket when they don't even know where they are in the court and they don't know where the basket is. And that's a great point. But here's a better point. How can you hit goals you don't even have? How can you get to where you want to be if you're not even sure where you are? So the first step in our program is what I call the GPS locator. When we sit down, we have 2 foci, both business and personal, where we sit down and we break down your business into multiple areas. Be it revenue, where the revenue comes from, advertising, systems, admin, IT, staff issues, and then we break down the personal life. And of course, we don't want to dig into things you don't want to get into, but we're here to help. So we work on things like your health. We work on things like your temperament, because we've all been guilty of taking bad attitudes from work and taking them home. And we want to avoid that, obviously. We work on things like, your outside interests. We encourage that. We work on things like your spirituality and so on and so forth, your personal financial position. The next step is we put together a plan, okay, of where you want to, the next step is we figure out where you want to go now that we know where you are. After we do that, we put together a specific plan on all of these areas that we discussed previously, okay? After that, we adjust course. Did you know, I was just reading recently, that the Apollo 11 mission, the mission that took men to the moon, arguably the greatest technological achievement of our time, but the first mission that took 2 men from Earth, put them on the moon, brought them back safely, was only on course 1% of the time. 1%. So in life, just like in business, the winds of adversity and change blow you all over the place, blow you off course. And you have to be making constant corrections, constant improvements to get to where you want to get. And that's that section. The last section is to empower your crew. And your job as a leader, and if you're in business, you should be a leader, okay, is to reproduce yourself, okay, is to help people get to where they want to get, and is to, like I said, reproduce yourself. I mean, I can't talk enough about this, so I'm going to stop, all right? But the point is if you want to have a business instead of a job that masquerades it as a business, and you can do that if you want. You can have a job that masquerades as a business, be frustrated and be miserable and be more stressed, but at least you're important. I'm the big boss and big business owner. Or you can do that if you want, or you can build an asset that can be sold. You can build a legacy that you can pass down to your children. That's, I think, where a lot of us want to be. So I can help you do that as well. So in the limited time we have left, okay? Oh, okay. I thought I was going slower than that. All right. But in the 10 minutes we have left, I want to tell you a quick story. Maybe for once I'll finish early. Okay. I doubt it because I'm American, so I like to talk, but I'll try. Okay. I want to tell you a quick story. This kid, he was born to a mother who dropped out of high school to have him at 16. Okay. When he was a kid, he was growing up in not so great a neighborhood, and until he was well into adulthood, in his mid-20s, maybe early 20s, he slept with the covers over his head, he was telling me, because he was afraid the rats were going to get to him when he was sleeping. Okay? Later on, his house burned down. His mother saved his life by pulling him out by the hair because he didn't listen. Okay? Later on after that, he developed asthma so bad, and he got these big Coke bottle glasses to go along with the asthma, because you got to have a bonus. He had asthma so bad that between year 6 in school and year 11, he couldn't even take PE. Well, he was one of these guys like you see in the high school movies that got shoved into lockers all the time and beat up and all that stuff. So he decided, and he discovered girls. And he thought, man, it'd be great to have one of those, but they don't like the asthmatic weaklings. So he decided, okay, I'm going to start exercising. Okay, he said to himself, I'm going to start exercising and get out of this asthma. He read a book about Theodore Roosevelt, trained out of asthma as a child. So he promptly started doing some push-ups. He had an asthma attack. Okay? The parents rushed him to the hospital, did like 3 push-ups or something, Had an asthma attack, they gave him an adrenaline shot. Then he went back, did it again. This went on for weeks, 2 or 3 times, going to the hospital to get these adrenaline shots. Finally, his father said, you're doing this to yourself, I ain't taking you no more. If you have an asthma attack and die, whatever, that's on you. His mother, however, was a little bit more invested. She carried him for 9 months. She didn't want to have to plan the funeral, so she took him to an allergist. Okay? The allergist did the test, found out he's allergic to everything, basically. Okay? But he said, listen, one thing you should do is you should try swimming. Swimming is good for cardiovascular. So he said, okay. So his mother told him he had to join the swim team. So he went in to join the high school swim team in year 11. Only problem was he didn't know how to swim. But luckily, the team was so bad, no one got cut, even if they couldn't swim. So anyway, after about 2 years, he ended up being captain of the team. And he qualified. He did he was on a state qualifying time relay and qualified for nationals and trained himself out of the asthma. Okay, so he went away to a military university, okay, one of the best in America. And he had a problem, though, because the university cost $35,000 a year in U.S. dollars, and his dad made $50,000. So he asked if his dad could help. His dad kind of laughed at him. So he got a job, and he got an athletic scholarship, and got some loans from the government, and bits and pieces here and there, mowed some lawns, whatever. Came up with the money. Well, after 2 years, he ran out of money, blew out his shoulder, lost his swim scholarship, had to take a year off work, okay, or off school to go to work. And I'm trying to think, then he got this job. He read this article in the newspaper about the people that make the most money that don't have a university education are salespeople. So this guy was really awkward. He'd never even asked a girl on a date except as a friend one time. So he got this job selling knives. Now here he is with a 50-inch chest, because he's a nationally ranked athlete, a 28-inch waist, banging on doors going, ma'am, can I please come in and show you my knives? How well do you think that went over? So he learned how to sell pretty quickly, became a field sales manager in 10 weeks, an assistant manager, a branch manager, then ended up being a district manager with multiple offices, and so on. Was pretty well off. But then, right before, his financial advisor kept pushing him to get into that .com stuff. And he resisted because he thought, I don't know. So he got into it a month before, guess what? The .com crashed, so he lost almost everything. Okay? Anyway, 3 or 4 years later, rebuilding, he becomes a territory development manager, goes to a foreign country to set up operations for this $200 million company he's working for, and starts the business up with one location, gets promoted to the division manager, builds it to 10, okay? Anyway, then he becomes national sales manager. Then what happens is he finds out that a lot of the practices the business has aren't in accordance with Australian law as far as workplace, recruiting, compensation. Tries to convince the owners, listen, this is a disaster waiting to happen. Owners won't listen, and as a result, there's ACCC undertakings. Despite that, he's able to keep the business going, has the highest retention in the company, highest productivity per salesperson in the company. Anyway, leaves that business, starts his own business in an unrelated field because he has a no-compete clause, right? So, has no idea about the business, but opens it from scratch, builds it up to 13 locations, becomes a multi-millionaire again. So now he's back to being well off. Well, messes up, gets cheated in China. He's not the only white guy that got cheated in China, believe it or not, for over $1 million. This caused a lot of stress on all the distributors he had. He ended up becoming their creditor instead of their helper or support network, and lost it all again. Took several years to get back to zero. Once he got back to zero, he said, I don't know anything about manufacturing, might as well open up a factory. Because he was afraid of getting cheated again, so he opened up a factory in another country with no experience in manufacturing, exported successfully to 26 countries. Factory's still going. So he had the retail business in Australia, the factory overseas, and during that time, he was $2.7 million in debt at his height of debt. He'd had identity theft, by the way, going on for 25 years that exceeded $1.5 million. I forgot to mention that. He had one key employee that he recruited out of university that was with him for a decade or more, embezzle $250,000. A couple other employees embezzle over $100,000. And ACCC undertakings, like I talked about, 4 audits from the tax office. What else did he have happen? I'm trying to remember. I don't know, a bunch of other things. Fair Work Ombudsman, Consumer Affairs, so on and so forth. So, obviously that person is me, okay? And why am I telling you all this? Because I love the sound of my own voice? Because I like to talk about myself? I guess maybe a little bit. I am American, so we're all obnoxious, okay? But the real point I'm trying to make is, how does it affect you? Okay, because that's what it's about. It's about you, okay? And what I'm trying to tell you is, if a guy here that's basically poor white trash, okay, and I'm just telling it like it is, okay, who, couldn't even ask a girl on a date till he was in his 40s, okay, could go out with multiple models and women with master's degrees, be happily married, have a beautiful son, if a guy that was terrified to talk to people, okay, could get to a point where he's standing in an international trade fair saying, hi, my name's Matt, I know you don't know me, you've never heard of my company, I know you're from a country that hates Americans traditionally, I know that if you buy from us and you go back to your home country, since it's international business, you have no recourse, can I have $80,000? If he can get to a point where he can do that, where he can come back from $2.7 million in debt, where a kid with asthma can max out the U.S. Army PFT and be a nationally ranked athlete in 2 sports, boxing and swimming, you can do it. I'm not Nelson Mandela, okay? I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not anything special, okay? And so there's 2 kinds of people listening to this message right now. Actually, some of you probably aren't listening, okay? Some of you are going, oh, that Matt's full of himself, or God, when's this guy going to shut up, or this has got nothing to do with me, or he doesn't understand my challenge, I can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. And then there's the kind of person that goes, well, that guy's nothing special. If he can do it, why can't I? He could probably help show me the way. Or maybe I don't even need him to help me show the way, which is fine. They're saying to themselves, now I deserve the fulfillment I want, I deserve the success that I want, I deserve to accomplish the objectives that I want. And the question I have for you is, which one are you?
Lovely. Thank you, Matt. Very powerful.
Really? I thought that sucked.
Very powerful. You can stand up there. There might be some questions, Matt.
I didn't think we had time.
We may.
I was like 1 minute over.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, okay, because you didn't ring the can.
For Matt?
No, I didn't know.
Okay, good.
8 seconds under.
Whoa.
Any questions for Matt?
Wow, I didn't finish early. Any
I've got a question for you, Matt.
No?
So, with your clients, Matt, how do you work with them? How do you help them
Well, usually I spend 2 or 3 sessions just listening, because I totally believe in the Stephen Covey, program of seek first to understand and be understood. I don't want to go in there and go, I am the great guru, or I have all the answers right away like a lot of these guys. I think a lot of these business owners just need somebody to listen to them. So you listen to them, you figure out what's wrong, you reserve judgment, you take pages and pages of notes, and then I try to figure out what's most important to them to work on. Hopefully it's what I think they need to work on the most. Or maybe I have to sell them a little bit on, hey, we got to work on this, but also have you really thought about the impact you have of this problem here? And then come up with a plan and follow the 5-step process. And the reason I went through the 5-step process is if you guys don't want to work with me, use that as a roadmap to success. I made a printout, you can just hand it out to people. I didn't even put my company name on it. I don't need any credit. I'm at a point in my life where I don't have to work anymore. I'd like to work again. My wife's told me I'm not allowed to go well, I never went bankrupt, but I'm not allowed to go broke again. So we don't go crazy spending anything, but we're in a position where we don't have to work anymore. So you can just give it to people, and if they don't want to pay, if they can't be convinced of the value of somebody helping them out, which I'm all for, by the way. I think that, synergy, if you take, one stick, it breaks it easy. You take a big stack of sticks, you can't break it. I think 1 + 1 is 3, not 2, okay, when it comes to problem solving. But if they're not sold, you can just give them this and say, hey, try this blueprint. But anyway, that was a longer answer
Well,
than you.
thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I would say, Matt, just listening to you, that part of your story is what's powerful.
I skipped a lot of it.
And it's about what you've overcome and what you've realized at the end of it. Because at the end of it, yes, you made your money, you created.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about that part. The real truth is, I made all this money multiple times, and what I've really learned is it doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
No.
And you hear people say that. Usually they're rich, and then you think whatever, get rich first, and then I'd have that attitude too if I had money. But really, the truth is, I was never happy in business. I never wanted to be in business. But the point is that, I personally believe, for me, that the only way to be happy is through service. I'm trying to go back to my roots in the military and Boy Scouts and all that stuff, where I was serving, and that was the only time I was ever happy, to be honest. So, I don't know. That's off the topic.
So effectively.
But that's the message I tried to portray, and I failed in this talk to do that.
No. So it's about, yes, you've made the money. It's all about the financial security, but ultimately, what it's about is for emotional fulfillment. It's about contribution. It's about growth, and those are the 2 aspects of our lives that actually give us real fulfillment.
Right. I don't think anybody on their deathbed says, I wish I would have spent more time at work.
No.
I just don't. I know my pastor told me one time, he said, Matt, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Okay? So you can't take it with you.
No.
Focus on what's most important.
So you've got a real gift in terms of your ability to see all aspects of business and to be able to help people out of a fix in a big way.
Yeah, well,
and I think you've got a real power in terms of your financial acumen and your ability to help people set up. And I'm telling you this because, Matt, you worked with my son, who's a 21-year-old young entrepreneur.
A stud, by the way.
And
this kid's going to be rich by far.
And
an influencer.
He helped him set up initially his investment portfolio, work through a plan of how he was going to structure his finances, and start the whole process of combining all aspects of a business. So, that's his strength.
Love it.